Welcome everyone to another episode of Soulfoodwithflex. Now I'm really honored to have my guest with me today. I was just having a conversation with him about how, me and my mother would watch his videos and just crack up. And so it's overwhelming and it's an honor to have him on and have a conversation with him. Grateful for his time as he's a busy man with his family and everything. Could you introduce yourself, please, Us?
Name's Fui. Oh, well, the real name is Patrick Soul from Rimoni, but just cut it down to Fui,
yeah. Sully, yeah, I didn't know your full name is. So I was like, man, I'm excited to hear his full name.
Yeah. No one knows. I don't use my full name, mate. I just because Fui is my my grandfather on my mum's side. That's his Makai Fui Silipa. So when I was a teenager, I just got everyone to nickname me Fui, and it just stuck since I was young.
Oh, no, that's sick, usual. Man, so, yeah, I don't know if I was talking to you about before, but on this platform, it's about promoting our people, but also a platform to just share our stories. We're people with stories. We have so many stories to share. And I find it's just generally interesting and people's stories and how they come up and stuff. So where did life start for you, Usual?
I was born over in NZ, Middlemore, and we lived in Henderson before we moved over here to Oz in '86. So came over here when I was 5 with my older sister and my parents. So we've been here going on 35 years.
Oh, yeah. So because you had messaged me, you're Australian, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
man. I always thought you were from New Zealand, but yeah. So born in New Zealand, but raised in Australia.
Yeah.
What was Australia like with Polynesians migrating to Australia and all that that scenery? What was that like?
Oh, so like when I was in primary school, I there was no Samoans. Even just growing up, there was no real Samoans around here in Melbourne in general. Like you could go weeks, go to the shops, you'll never see another Polynesian, eh? Like the only Polynesians I saw was there was a cookie man. They used to work with my dad, and then just like you just randomly see polys. And back in those days, when you saw Samoan, it was like, "Oi, maro," because it wasn't too common. But now, oh, mate, he's just they're everywhere now. I'm just do this. But yeah, it wasn't until like the 90s when they really started coming over from NZ. But I think all through my primary school and the first couple of years in high school was not many Samoans around.
So, do you have any early memories of how you were received, being one of the few Polynesians there and the place you were?
So when I was growing up, I know it's not politically correct, but the kids used to call me Big Abo, like as in Aboriginal, and it wasn't derogatory, it wasn't an insult, because everything's so PC nowadays, you can't use those terms. But growing up as a kid, I didn't see, and we all just had nicknames for each other, and just happened to be my nickname was Big Abo because the kids didn't know what a Samoan was, So when I was over here, and obviously I was big for my age. And all the kids are just like, "Oh, are you Aboriginal?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm Samoan." And they're like, "Samoan? What's that?" I'm like, "Oh, we thought you're Aboriginal." I'm like, nah. Because, and even in Melbourne, you didn't really see any Aboriginals. It was just on TV because most of them are still in like Northern Territory areas and stuff like that. And in inner city Melbourne, you didn't really see them back in those days. So they just called me Big Abo, and that was my nickname in primary school. And I didn't really have any issues, man. That's why I really enjoyed growing up here, because it was real multicultural. So growing up, all my friends were like Greek, Italian, Lebanese, Asian. It was funny because when I look back now on my childhood, it would be like me and like a little singer, or a Greek kid, and just a random Samoan with all these kids, But that was life. I didn't know any better. I didn't know any different. It wasn't until my cousins, until I'd go to NZ, or till my cousins came over here, and I'd go over there, and they'd be like, "Hey, g'day, mate." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, g'day, mate. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, your accent, man, you're bloody Australian. Like, oh, well, there was no racism until I saw my own family, you know? But I was all good growing up here, man.
Nah, that's awesome. So, like, I know for myself, so I grew up around Polynesians, and so, talking about our experiences at home and the way we were raised was just, normality. So,
Yeah.
what was it like for you experiencing, that island life at home, and then coming in and being around people who are not experiencing that same upbringing?
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. Hey, there was a lot of, that opened my eyes a lot because when I'd have like my Palangi or non-Samoan friends come over, it was like a culture shock for them. Like, I remember one time I had a mate, my best friend, he lived a few streets away. His name was Fletcher, a tall, skinny Palangi dude. And the man came over and the man wanted to have some kokolisa. Oh, we were having kokolisa and I gave him some kokolisa. And the man goes, what's this? I'm like, it's called kokolisa. It's just cocoa and rice. And the man goes, looks like maggots in chocolate. I'm like, sorry, mate, you better pipe down, mate. My mum's gonna blind shot you if she hears that, mate. But that was it. I was like, everything was different. Even our neighbors were Indian, and because we lived in a block of flats, and then we'd go over there, and they would always give us like proper Indian meal. It was like just chill growing up here, man. There was no real racism. But growing up, that was a thing though. Like growing up in my family, in my household, it was like a whole different world to what was happening outside. But then when I started making videos, I would get messages from people, from Samoans all over the world, and they would relate to the storyline or to the clip. And to me, it was almost like, regardless of where we are in the world as Samoans, inside our homes, it's exactly the same upbringing, exactly the same scenarios. Because like Samoans in Alaska would be like, oh man, that's crack up. That's what happened to me. I'm like, what the heck? These people are all the way on the other side of the world. And it's the same stories everywhere, eh? So that was real out of it when I started making videos.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's what I love about your videos and a lot of the other content creators. Like, it always relates back to, our roots and also, the way that we were raised in our homes.
Yeah, I know.
So, look, do you have any other funny stories of like people you're being raised around realizing that you're different?
Are you with friends, Palangis and that, or oh, not really. Oh, I just remember being bullied, eh? Or not being bullied, but it was like, oh no, you could say it was being bullied. Like there was a couple of Palangi dudes that did karate, and one of them apparently it was me in a karate. And when you're growing up watching Kalake movies, you're like, man, this guy knows karate. And I watched all Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. This guy's gonna kick my ass, man. And then one day the man, he hooked my bag over a netball pole. I had a backpack and the strap doesn't come off, and the man threw my backpack and it got stuck over the netball pole. And I couldn't pull it over, so I had to cut the strap. I was hika, man. And then my uncle was living with us at that time. And then my mum got hika because the strap was cut on my backpack. I'm like, oh, this kid bloody. And then my uncle was like, did you give him a hiding? I was like, nah, he knows karate. He's like, what? He knows karate. And he's like, and what? I'm like, wow, well, what if he kalakis me? He's like, shh, I want you to go to school in the morning. As soon as you see him, punch him straight in the nose. And I was like, what? He goes, punch him in the nose. And I'm like, I'm going to get in trouble. He goes, that's why that boy is doing that to you. Because you're scared of his dumb kalake. You punch him in the nose, and if you don't come tomorrow and you punch him, I'm going to punch you in the nose. I'm like, oh, yeah, no worries, sorry. And then I pocket him, but it's true, man. Like, it's cliche, but it's true, man. When you stand up to your bullies, they buckle, eh? So after that, we became friends after we had that little scrap. And there was no more, I'm Karate Kid. And that was a mean lesson for me to learn, man. But then my mom told me, hey, don't listen to your uncle again, mate, because that guy was the biggest famous troublemaker in Samoa, all right? Don't take any of his advice. But that was one of the things I remember growing up, man, because when you watch Blim and all those movies, it's just in your mind, you're like, these people are invincible, man. when you see someone, and you're like, oh, whoa. You know, but when you're a kid, when you're a kid, man, you believe everything you see on TV. So yeah, that was one of the memories growing up here in Oz.
Oh man, I love that story.
Yeah.
It's so true. Eh? Growing up in the Polynesian house, from my household, you know, go to the video store. All the movies were kung fu movies.
Yeah, hard out, man. And it's like, and then you know when you watch it with your cousins or something, or your siblings, man. As soon as the movie's finished, yeah, go to the bedroom. Failo amakalake, you know, guaranteed someone's gonna cry.
Hey,
Yeah.
oh no, man. Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
that's some funny stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, with the likes of yourself, um, content creating is not the only thing that you do. Like I've seen, like you said, you have a MMA background, right? And also, also you DJ. So like,
Yeah.
I definitely want to talk more about those things as well. Like,
Yeah.
where did MMA and combat sport aspect enter into your life?
Oh, so growing up, when I did make friends with Samoans in high school, there was one of my mates, Jason, and he was a boxer back in those days, and we used to train with him, me and a couple of the other boys, but that was through my teen years, but then just realized it wasn't really training, it was just us going to his garage and him pinging us. And then when I actually started training properly was Muay Thai, and that was in because it was more of a weight loss thing. So one of my mates, he was training Muay Thai, and then this is when we were living in Brisbane, and I was almost 130 kilos. And I was like, man, I need to drop some weight, man. I got, you know, 2 little ones, man. I don't want to be that cliche, just relax because I've got a family. And then I just started going training with him, and then it was just by, and I dropped a lot of weight just doing that training. But it was just by chance. One of the guys pulled out of his fight, got injured, and it was like after our training, and we were all sitting down, and our coach was like, "Oh, one of the boys had to pull out of his fight in the next couple of months. He's injured. If anyone wants to step in." And at that point, I was only training for like maybe 2-3 months, and then my mate grabbed my arm, did those ones, and then I was like, "Totally." He was competing in grappling BJJ, so he was already established in that field. But that man just put my hand up, and then I thought, oh, why not? You know, might as well. I've done the hard yards. You know, I feel fit, I feel strong, and I'm pretty confident in what I can do. So might as well put the training to use. So just had a crack and just started from there, pretty much.
No, that's sick, usual. But it's funny that you bring that up. You know, you were almost 130, you know, 30 or 35 kgs, and you know, you looked at your younger ones and realized you didn't want to be that cliche father.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many of them, so many of them out there, right? You know, like
Yeah.
I remember my father. He like to show me this picture of him when he was younger, like him and his abs and his afro. But yeah, he just settled into that. So, what steps did you actually make to start your journey?
Yeah, so I was so it started when I was in so my wife was my girlfriend at the time. She got pregnant with our oldest, and then so when she got pregnant, then she had her cravings, and then when she got her cravings, if she wanted, say, popcorn chicken from KFC, I would get her popcorn chicken and get me popcorn chicken as well. And then, you know, it just started from there. And then I just noticed, you know, and that's the thing, man, like, you don't even realize, you know, you're just nibbling here and there, nibbling. And then it was one day when I was, and I was driving trucks at the time too. So it was like wherever I fill up the truck, can I have 3 dim sims, just one of those pies, you know, bottle of Coke, stuff like that, eh? And then it just becomes part of your lifestyle. And then before I knew it, I blew up to almost 130 kgs. Then I just said to my wife, oh man, before Baba is born, I want to drop some weight. So I dropped some weight there, and then we moved to Brizzy. Then I sort of relaxed again, and we had another baby, then I was like, man, if I keep going down this road, by the time we have more kids, I'm going to be like 160. So that's when I started training Muay Thai, and and then it was more. But I know with us Polynesians, we're very physical people. Like we enjoy sports, we enjoy being out there. Whether it's volleyball, rugby, whatever. As the hardest part is the eating. So that was for me. That was the real battle. Like cutting those habits where it's just go to Coles. You're just supposed to be there to get some milk and bread, and I'm like, oh, are those donuts on special? You just grab those, those ones, So you need to get 100% to me. It was the mindset, You need to get your mindset out of the repetition, what you did every day, and you just thought it was normal, but really it's so unhealthy, So once you break that cycle of eating that way, thinking that way, it makes it easier for everything else to work, So a lot of people think, oh man, I've got no time to go to the gym, but at the end of the day, gym is probably 20%. Your diet is 80%, So if you cut down, even if you just cut down what you're eating and watch what you're eating, that plays a massive role in comparison to, doing some bicep curls and some burpees, So that was pretty much how I started with my, trying to take care of my health.
No, I love that, because I personally don't have any kids, so what I would have to say towards that would have little to no substance. And I just wanted to get you to speak about balancing your fitness journey and also making those initial steps to better your health, so you can do the things that you need to do as a parent. No, I love that, because I see that you and your wife are very active and almost like ambassadors for parents that work out and things like that.
Yeah, my wife, she's pretty full on. I was like, it's funny to me now, but like, she's always, because we've got 5 kids, a lot of the time we've been together, she's always either been pregnant, unable to train, or she's been stuck at home with the little ones. And I've always trained, I've always been at the gym. I've always been doing fight training or whatever. And then I was like, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to touch. Man, again, where are you going? I'm going to the gym. Are you sure you're going to the gym, or are you going somewhere else? I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to take care of the temple, man. But now she got her fitness journey really kicked in when she signed up to F45, and there's no turning back, man. Honestly, she motivates me now, because I'm always like I don't really, now that I've got my training and my routine, pretty much set, I can sort of balance out my eating. So I have like a snack here and there, whatever, but she's so focused, it's like, she's making me look bad. So now I'm trying to keep up to her, So yeah, she's pretty full on, and man, I'm really proud of my wife for how far she's come. Even it's been a short, a turnaround, maybe going on to 2 years, and she's dropped 45, 46 kgs in the last year and 8 months or so. So just really proud of her and how far she's come. And that's the thing, man. Like, for me, it's like she puts herself out there online on social media, but so I know some people some especially with our Samoans, some people will interpret it a different way. But for me, when she does stuff like that, when she shows her body how far she's come, the amount of positive feedback, the amount of women that she motivates that are in a similar predicament to her, being a mom, feeling demotivated, being stressed, and for them to reach out to her to say, you know what? And I see these messages, and even they message me too. Oh, I didn't know Mrs. Foy was your wife. And I'm like, her name is Mrs. Foy, mate. Who do you think? And then they'll say, oh man, your wife's the bomb, oh, your wife, and that, to me, that's a big deal, it's like, for me to see that she's motivating all these other women, even guys too, man. So yeah, it's really, but I'm like, hey, just calm down, because remember, I started the social media stuff, just try to stay underneath my overtake one of me, you want peace on me. Yeah, but she's doing
real issues.
I know. Yeah.
Oh man, no, I love that. Because I see you speak about your wife and her journey and the successes that she's had with her health journey. It's crazy how you two as parents looking after yourselves, I can only imagine the benefit that it has on your kids and
Yeah, yeah.
the energy that you have in your home. So speak
Mm.
about that, like what, how was that? How has that affected your parenting? You know, looking
Yeah,
after
so
yourself.
our kids are part of our training too. Like we always make sure they're active, especially now during COVID. But we've always brought them up to be, to whatever it is we're doing, they're a part. So I bring them in the garage too and smash out a workout, but not too much, not to push them too hard because a lot of parents I know, you don't want to burn them out. They're still kids; they still want to enjoy stuff. You know what I mean? So if they want to train, about my second youngest, she loves it, eh? And so I always train them, whatever. And then I used to do a lot of fight training with them. The others weren't really interested, but my second youngest, Manai, she loved it. And then I just got to a point where I had to stop training her because when she started primary school, it was like the second week of primary school, I got called in by her teacher. And it's like, oh, how is she at home? Well, she's all good. Is she aggressive? I'm like, nah, not at all. What's the problem? And she's like, oh, she's been punching other students in the face, other boys. And I was like, sorry? And she's like, yeah, so, kids usually they wrestle or, when they have disagreements or push and shove. But on 2 occasions, she's actually punched 2 boys right in the face. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I haven't talked to her. Eh? So we had to stop because she was actually using what we do in the training and she was going to school and doing it for real. But my thing is, I told my kids to like stand up if anyone bullies them. I'm like, if you get bullied, if you ask them to stop and they keep doing what they're doing, you tell the teacher they keep doing what they're doing. Let them have it, man. Just let them have it. That's the only way to learn. Because if you've exhausted all the avenues to try to get them to stop, and they're not, just give them a whack. But the king was just whacking everyone, and I was like, yeah, that's the end of your combat career until you know how to relax, all right? Because she doesn't mind having a go, man. She's the real feisty one of our family, man. So the rest are real laid back. But man, my second baby, man, she's ruthless, man. And then she does her moves on her siblings too. I was like, you need to wait till you're older, man, because you need to pull back on the aggression and the violence, mate. You focus on your times tables first, all right?
But those poor cumbers, these kids walking out.
Yeah.
Remember that time she punched you in the face?
Well, that was the thing that was like, because, kids are usually, they're like apprehensive to do things like that, They don't know what's going to happen if you, it's usually just stop or leave me alone. Like, and it was what? And then I was like, no more for you, mate. No more for you. So we just put that on hold. We'll just work on the fitness for now, and then maybe later on, we'll go back to the fight training, eh? So,
that's good that you incorporate, just your kids into everything that you're doing. That's a wonderful family dynamics, man. But I wanted to ask, like, so us as Polynesians, we watch these fights, and we're like, oh, come on, you're trying to almost like commentate on what the fighter should do, especially when you watch David Silva.
Yeah.
What was it like for you to walk down that ring, sit, stand in the ring, like facing like face to face with an opponent who was trained to like pretty much take your head off? What was that experience like?
Man, I think like everyone, you do have nerves. Like anyone who says they don't get nervous, they must be a robot, because they're still, because to me, it's like the most primitive thing you can do. Team sports, everything else, you play those, but you can't play combat sports, you know what I mean? And it comes down to like, how did you solve issues back in the day with war, with anything before guns, before that, it was all hand-to-hand combat, you know what I mean? And this, is exactly what people are doing in the ring. So, I mean, for me, it was like, I remember one time I did get anxiety in the back because my trademark is doing those fob ones and taking fights on short notice. Like, oh, what are you doing next weekend? Like, oh, no. Like, oh, you want to take this fight for blah, blah, blah amount of money? I'm like, oh yeah, sweet. And then we'll go fly over here, fly over there. So I did that a couple of times, but I remember one time when I flew to Northern Territory for a fight, I was like way, like I was on the other side of Australia. I was there with my trainer. The ref read out the rules to everyone. I was waiting for my fight. And then I just like, was just standing there, I'm like, what am I doing, man? What the heck is wrong with me? And my trainer, we were just working pads, and my trainer saw me like, starting to zone out. I was like, hey. I'm like, yeah. He goes, no, don't do that now. But he's been in the game for years, eh? He goes, I go, no, I'm all good. He goes, no. He goes, you can't do that. I'm like, why? He goes, I can see your mind starting to wander. You're starting to doubt yourself. And once you plant that seed, when you get out there, you're going to get hurt. And then I was like, no, I'm good. And he goes, no. Then the man, he goes, here, and he gave me some Coke. And he's like, here, drink some Coke, get the sugar rush, pump you up. And when you get out there, you'll be all good. But yeah, so when I got into the ring, I think it comes down to like, for me, it's more of like a performance thing. You know what I mean? Like, I like to think of myself as like I'm more of an introvert sort of personality. I like to keep it to myself. I'm not really a sociable person. I mean, like my wife, she's super sociable, but 9 times out of 10, if we're going somewhere or we're going to go visit, I'll stay home. You know what I mean? But when I'm on a stage or when I'm making my videos or, when I'm in front of people, that's where I feel my most calm. You know what I mean? So when I was in the ring, I never felt nervous. I never felt any pressure or anything. It's just when you overthink stuff, you know what I mean? It's like when you think about it too much, you put the pressure on yourself. But for me, it was more, man, I enjoyed it. Like I used to come out to, the song from Kickboxer, the part where Van Damme's dancing. That was my walkout song. So they'll play that music and I would do the dance at the top, and then I'd walk down and do the dance all the way to the ring, and then for me, I was like, I don't really, but when you train, you sort of know that, to be honest, I would prefer to fight than to play rugby, because I've seen people get paralyzed. I've seen people get snapped, knees, bust their knees out, crazy as injuries. But in fighting, pretty much, boxing's been pretty bad lately in the last couple of years, but in fighting, pretty much, you get KO'd and you wake up, you know what I mean? That's pretty much where it starts and ends, 99% of the time. So I'd rather do that than to get grass cut and my knee go one way and my leg go the other way, So it wasn't really a nerve thing for me. I enjoyed it, man. A bit of showboating, bit of mimika. But yeah, no, it was more fun than anything else, I reckon. But then you have I remember about a couple of the guys, I thought the guys who were really intense for me were more the Balangi guys. I fought a couple of big Balangi dudes, or they were real intense, like when we go to the weigh-in, we'll do the face-off. I was like, well, because I always had this mustache, and my trademark was when I get to the weigh-in, I'd always go like this. Like that. Very bad, like it's like make it funny, just be like, it's all about the guys like, and I'm like, man, chill, you know what? You're getting paid the same as me. We're not getting paid millions of dollars. People aren't watching us on pay-per-view. This is not for a UFC heavyweight world title. Just relax, man. It's a hobby. So it was more a fun thing. And the most fun I had in regards to my fighting was I fought this Tongan dude. And I thought I was cool with my walkout. And then the man came out and he was an ex-break dancer. And the man came out and started doing some popping and locking. And then I was like, oh, right, it's on, mate. It's on, eh? You want to outdo me with the intros? I was like, so, and he was a big boy, man. But the way the guy was moving when he was dancing, I was like, so, mate, putting me on show here. Yeah, but no, man, it was fun. It's always fun.
No, yeah, I love that. I love that you explained that, because I've never experienced it myself, but just picturing it, it would be daunting, because we're like number one commentators on everything. So I always picture now, like, if you were doing it, number one, Taki Valley.
Nah, man, but it's in our blood, man. Like even the guys I train with, my cousins and the poly boys, it's just, man, a lot of people, man, fighting for us is part of, it's like in our DNA, man. Like if you see a lot of the, we are a small as country, man. We are a small island, Samoa. But if you've seen the impact we had on the fight game all over the world and the levels our people have got to, you know, like Mark Hunt, Ray Sefo, these guys are from South Auckland, you know, and they've taken it Japan, USA, all over the world, man. So man, got to be proud. And then the new generation coming up now, the tougher brothers and that, man, it's just, that's one thing when it comes to combat sports, man. That's our people, you know, that's our bread and butter, man. Any excuse for a bang, eh?
Yeah, man. No, it's definitely in our blood. One of my favorite shows growing up was me and my brother used to watch. It was called The Contender. I don't know if you remember watching that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The boxing
Yeah,
one or the Muay Thai
yeah,
one?
the boxing one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But they all, you know, they always made it dramatic and stuff with their
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
families involved and stuff. Like, how was your wife and that environment? You know, reacting to you putting
Yeah.
yourself in that sort of environment.
So my wife, I owe a lot of things to my wife because my wife is like, so there was like a running joke in my family because I waited, a lot of things I did, I waited until I already had a wife and kids. And then I started wanting to chase these like little dreams or little goals that I had, which was like DJing and fighting and making videos. And I always remember my younger sister be like, "Are you all right, mate? You going through a midlife crisis or what's going on, mate?" And then I'm like, "No, I'm just comfortable where I'm at, and I feel like I can do this. You know, I can do it. I feel I can do it." And my wife's always supported anything I wanted to do, man. My wife's always supported me with whatever, you know. But obviously, with all the things that I've done, my fighting was the one that she sort of was always a bit hesitant about. But man, we always sat down and had to talk about it, and she knows that. She always said to me, like, you know, I know this is your passion, I know this is what you love, but at the end of the day, it's not what I want, but I'll still support you regardless, you know. So that was one thing, you know, me and my wife got a real, you know, open relationship. We always talk about things, and I know it was hard for her when I'd like just randomly fly over to Adelaide for a fight or fly over to Northern Territory or whatever, but you know, she knows that that's what I wanted to do. And I always, you know, made sure as soon as that bell rang, I always jumped on the phone and called her straight away, you know. So yeah, it's always hard for, I'm sure every wife or every partner that's, you know, with someone who fights in the ring is always, you know, a bit wary about that kind of lifestyle. But, you know, if it's something someone loves, you know, you've got to be supportive.
Nah, that's awesome. Now I remember watching an interview once where you know one of the most successful entrepreneurs, he was asked the question, you know, what do you equate to, what do you equate your success to, and he mentioned finding the right partner, you know, his wife. And so, you know, it's always interesting to hear people speak about their partners and the support system, and also just helping them to be successful in whatever they chase to do. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome, right?
100%, man, 100%. That's a big
Yeah.
factor for a lot of things, you know.
Yeah. So, what about talk to us about your DJ life? Were you one of those to the Sivas, eh?
Now I was like, so DJing. I was like, I had a mate here who moved over to NZ, and DJ Jam Junior Sartilli, and I used to go over to his house, and this was like in the '90s, late '90s, and he was a DJ, a mean DJ, and he had all his gear, and he's like, "Oh, here, have a jam." I was like, "Oh, no, I don't want to touch your stuff, man. It looked expensive, you know." It's like, "No, you go." But he used to show me stuff, whatever, and I used to watch him do it, and I was like, "Man, that's pretty sucky, you know." But at the time, that wasn't something that I was really keen to follow or keen to chase. But I always loved music, man, all my life. Then, as I was saying before, I wasn't really, I didn't really go out much or whatever. I just used to love how stay home and listen to music, eh? You know, the slow jams, you know, make those mixtapes, you know. And that was my buzz. And then it wasn't until like, I think I was like 29 or 30 and already had a couple of kids. My wife's nephew, actually, he was jamming on this program, virtual DJ. I was like, "What's that?" And I had a look and I was like, "Oh yeah." And then I started doing it. And then I was spending heaps of time doing it. And then my wife bought me like a deck for my 30th birthday. And then it just started from there. And I was always jamming, mucking around at home. And then she's like, "Hey, if you're going to spend all this time mucking around. You better get out there and try to make some money out of it, man. You're putting a lot of time and effort into it. And then, yeah, so just from there you start, I think pretty much DJs, that's how they start off. You just do a couple of free gigs here and there just to get your name out there, you know, and then put some feelers out, see if people are interested. And then, yeah, so I used to DJ in clubs and that, but I wouldn't consider myself a club DJ because I don't really do the hype stuff. I don't really scratch or whatever. I prefer to be more of like the functions, you know. I do a lot of weddings and school formals and Christmas functions for work and stuff like that. But yeah, and not only that, man, I'm almost 40 years old, mate. The Galapagos long gone, mate.
Oh man. So that's funny, because my father was a DJ, so he
Oh,
would
yeah?
go out to do the sivas and the weddings and stuff, and I never had a good experience because
Oh, yeah.
the night would always end with a sword of red.
Oh, for sure, mate, for sure. I didn't go to my first Siva until I was 30, but even then I was only there to pick up my mate who came over to Brisbane for a holiday. But yeah, not Sivas, mate. I'm not that kind of, not my scene, eh? Because I remember picking up my uncles from Sivas. Man, every time he said, "Umale Siva, les fululua," I'm like, "Oh, no worries, man. I'll be there like 11:45, and all I'll see is just bottles flying everywhere in the car park, people screaming." I'm like, remind me never to ever go inside one of these places, man. Oh, mate, there's savages in there, man. When it break, and that's the thing, man. Every time I see that, it'll be two guys having a disagreement, or a guy and his wife having a disagreement, and next minute the whole car park is fighting. I'm like, oh, mate, I don't want to be here, man. I don't want to be here.
It's absolutely right. That's exactly what happens here. So, yeah, I never had a good experience with this. So I was like, man, told my daddy, nah, get your own support crew for your DJ.
Aaron Brody.
Nah, man. So, yeah, growing up, what did you want to be? What did you aspire to be?
To be honest, man, I was always like, I didn't have one thing, one dream. Like, I've always been like a jack of all trades, master of none, one of those dudes, you know. And then like I'll try one thing, I'll smash it out for 3 months. I'm like, oh man, this is boring. Then I'll go try something else. And like you say, I never really had a dream or anything that really motivated me to chase one particular like craft or career, or you know, there was nothing that really caught me. I just knew what I knew is I always love to be a clown. Eh? I just love to make people laugh. That's what I always like to do. Just to be always be the funny guy. Eh?
Yeah, it's because we had a conversation before, I started pushing record, but you had spoken about how, Polynesians and Samoans in general, just, funny people. And
Yeah.
it's just taking the steps to actually get your content out there. So, the videos that you do, that's just you being you, eh?
Yeah, so it's all relatable scenarios and all Samoans pretty much experience the same things. Eh? Because once I did start making the videos, anyone that reached out to me was always like, "This is exactly what happened to me, man," or "Man, this is what my mum said the other day." You know what I mean? And that for me, that was real buzzy because they were from all over the world where I was getting these messages from, and that sort of like inspired me to keep going and sort of reminded me of other scenarios and then make more clips, stuff like that, But yeah, that's pretty much for me. It's like I know that man, I got like, guys I know that are like, so you like not even drinking, just sitting there or just talking to them. It's just laughs all day, man. But I say to them, man, why don't you make some videos? But they're just like, maybe they're like can't be bothered with like the judgment, or too lazy to make it, but man, our people, man, we just crack up. Say that's what we love to do, man. There's two things we love to do, mate. We love to fight and we love to laugh,
Facts. So you made content for a very long time, and then you have this break. What happened in the break, and what caused the break?
So the break was, I think it was a lot of stuff was happening. So I was like making content, and I was DJing, and I was getting gigs. Like I was getting gigs in Sydney. I was getting gigs in Queensland. I even got a gig in New Zealand, and I was making content, and I sort of put my, it got so when we I took the focus off my family, and I sort of went all in on the content creating scene and the DJing scene. And then yeah, so sort of like, hey, you got a wife and kids, mate. What are you up to? So, you know, so just had to shut up shop for a bit and go recalibrate them now. And then, you know how it is, mate. It's happy wife, happy life. And, you know, that's where the core of everything is, you know. So had to pull back, and I had to reassess, reevaluate. And yeah, that's where I was for two. And then to me, it was like, I actually thought that it was going to be, how am I going to stop? But it's sort of like, it's like even now, like every now and then I'll take a week off or whatever from Instagram, or because you sort of, everyone knows how addictive social media can be, eh? And it's so easy to put all your time. And even when I start making videos now, I like to space it out, because once I noticed that when I was making content heaps back in like 2015, 2016, man, it took up so much time, so much effort. And that's what my main focus was. Like I'd go to work and I'd come home, I'd have an idea, and then I'd spend like 4 or 5 hours making this video, you know what I mean? And then like my family's just sitting there, my kids are running around, and I'm like, shh, I gotta make this, I gotta do this, you know what I mean? So yeah, for me, it's good to, you know, pull back every now and then and focus on what's really important in life, because we're from the old school. Like I grew up with no social media. There was no social media. There was no internet, you know, so I knew what life was before all of this stuff. So once you step back, you know, you kind of remember your roots and where you came from and what you were doing, because it's kind of hard to, because now we're so involved with social media, you kind of think, man, the 5 hours that I spent looking at my phone, what was I doing before social media, you know? And me and my wife always talk about that. We're always like, man, like we're always like online looking at our phones. What was life before? You know, what was life before smartphones? What was life before social media, you know? It's like, man, you know what life was? It was like human interaction, you know? We actually spoke to people, you know? We actually, when we go to the shops, you'd see someone like, hey, how's it going, mate? Oh, yeah. Not walking around like, you know, even when you get to the counter, yeah, no worries, I'll just grab a couple of, you know? Sort of the zombie mode, eh? So it's good to step back every now and then and come back to the real world.
I love that you were able to take a step back and realize that your family was, you know, suffering because of, you know, social media, because, you know, it does consume people in a negative way if you choose it to.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, man. No, that's awesome that you were able to click onto that, because a lot of people that I see, you know, unfortunately, they don't click on, and it just takes over their whole lives. Man, that's so. Yeah, you had this break, and then what's inspired the comeback with making?
Was so last year when I did come back, it was I was watching. So I never had any. I didn't have any Facebook. I didn't have any Instagram. But I was always. My wife she had her account, and then she'd see something funny, and then she'd be like, "Oh, check this guy out. Check this out," and I would laugh, whatever, because and then I noticed there was heaps of new guys coming through with the Polynesian humor content. And she's like, "Oh, check out this guy, and we'd laugh and that. Then I'd do those sitting there reflecting ones. Then she was like, "Oh, you should start making clips again." And I was like, "Nah." And she's like, "Yeah, why not? Well, because now, you know, just don't go hundies like you did, and, you know, try to be a hard out Hollywood guy and forget about your your responsibilities. And it's like, oh yeah, oh we'll see. And then I came across that Rock, when the Rock, that was the video I first came back, was when the Rock was doing that Fa Samoa thing, and then I made that clip, which was the opposite to the reaction that most people gave me. It wasn't a mock of the Rock, it was a mock of the people who were mocking the Rock's Fa Samoa. And yeah, that was the video that started me making content again. And then yeah, it didn't have the same reaction that I thought it would get. Had a lot of negative as well, but it was just the way people were misinterpreting the video and weren't watching and listening to the whole video, you know. So, you know, they're quick off with the trigger, but they didn't listen to the actual the whole clip.
That's what I was confused about. I watched the whole video and I was like, I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
People.
Well, they came hard, mate.
I loved how you did the comeback stuff. So,
yeah.
what were you like going through that process of making that video with the comeback to certain individuals who commented on that video?
Oh man, that was like, it was sort of discouraging, because to me I was like, man, see, I've got you now, come back, man. These people are still the same, man. Because, you know, and that's another thing too. Like I remember when I first started making videos, not so much now, but I think because it's more common now. Like there's a lot of people pushing content now. A lot of us, and that I'm really proud of our people too, because you know, we're sort of like we grow up in this bubble where certain things you don't do, and you've got to live a certain way, and you know. And now I see so many Polynesians out there, whether it's a business or comedy or their craft, like DJing or music, whatever, they're just pushing it out there, letting everyone know. And it's so good to see, like me and you now, like, you know, interacting with other content creators or whoever's on their journey or whatever they're doing, you know, just helping each other. But I remember when I first started making content, man, it was like a lot of like unnecessary negativity. Like people were like just putting like comments saying like, you're dry, and you know, or man, you're a homo or whatever, wearing a dress, you know, stuff like that. And I'm like, it's like inappropriate. Like why, if you feel a certain way, fair enough, but why do you feel the need to write a comment, and why won't you just unfollow and not watch what you don't want to watch? Social media is very simple. There's so much content out there. Pick the stuff that you want to watch and don't watch the stuff that you don't want to watch. It's simple, you know. But now not so much. But I just remember that because in the early days, because I'm old school, yeah. So in the early days, whenever I saw a comment like that, man, I'll respond straight away, but straight in the DMs, hey. Straight into go on their profile. Hey, don't comment like that, man, because just because I wear a dress and you calling me home or whatever, if I see you somewhere, you know.
So what you're telling me is people got screenshots of you threatening them in the DM.
Yeah, my wife was, and that's the thing, because my wife was like, are you going to respond to everyone that mocks you? Are you gonna like try to call out everyone? And I was like, but why are they doing this? And then she was like, but that was another thing too, man. It's like she had a good point, because she was like, so for the 99% of people that are giving you positive feedback, you are focusing on the 1% that are being a-holes, and you're just losing, you know, you're losing your mind over this small, minute percentage, when people are accepting and are reacting so positively everywhere else. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, you know what? You're right. So from then on, anyone who was like, yeah, delete, block, you know, because to me, it's like unnecessary. I don't understand that mentality. Like, and I've spoken to other content creators too, because a lot of the boys here are in Melbourne, like, you got the Safar brothers. They're Melbourne boys. They went to my sister used to teach them at school. And then, and they're all from the north side too, even the Gulf Isle boys, Jeff and Rob. They're all Broady boys as well, and you know, a couple of them I've spoken to, and they sort of say the same thing. Like a lot of our people was like they have a negative reaction and they feel the need to comment and say negative things, which I never understood, man. I never understood that bad buzzing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Same birthday is like there's plenty of content out there. We'll
Yeah.
just go to that
Yeah.
page and unfollow this. Like I don't see the need for you to take time out of your day to project
Yeah.
negative energy out there.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, but big shout out to your wife, man. Honestly, just every story sounds like your wife will come in and introduce
Oh,
herself
yeah. Good
and
coaching, mate. Good
yeah.
coaching. I always say, mate, man, I would have been funny boy ages ago if it was.
Hey, if you're listening in and you got DMs for you threatening you, please send them to my personal email.
Yeah, I did. I remember one time one of my good mates, he sent me a screenshot of these guys roasting me on a Facebook comment. So there was a thread, and someone was talking about I won't say the other content creator, and then they started. Well, my name got in there, and then I just saw roast after roast after roast. But my mate, he's a sad dude because he knows how I am. And then the man was like, "So, check this out," and he texted to me. And then I was like, looking at the names, I'm like, hey, this is my real profile. This is my number. If you want to go, that's what I'm saying. I was like, so, man, it was just scary. That was like, because that was the early days, when I didn't know the dynamics or how social media works or how I should respond. Everything was old school, man, If you want some, come and get some.
that's, that's the funny thing because I just had a conversation with the Skirt boys. I don't know if you know them,
Yeah.
Chris and Joe, and they're in their phase. They're in their phase. People DM them hate, and they're like, "Sorry,
Yeah, I don't understand. I think like for me, it's like it's sort of like tall poppy syndrome, eh? So like if you see someone else doing something, maybe you're projecting that negativity because it's something that you aspire to do, but you just haven't taken that step. Because I don't understand why you would push negativity on that person. If you can see that person, that's their passion, or they're making other people laugh, or they're sharing a story, or they're promoting their business or whatever. How does that affect anyone at all? What they're doing? And social media is very simple. Like for me, I only follow people that I know. I only follow pages that I know that I can learn from, or that motivate me, or there's a particular reason why I follow the pages that I follow. And if it's not for you, then don't follow it, don't watch it. It's not complicated, you know what I mean?
Nah, definitely. Yeah, I just wish people knew, that they can choose what content they're seeking. Yeah, but it's very sad to see, when because I read a lot of comments when I see content creators, and
Yeah.
it's sad when I see the names and it's our people,
Yeah.
So,
I know.
man. But it's my hope with this platform that we can rally around each other and
Yeah.
support
It's
one
a
another.
lot. It's a lot less common now. I noticed. Like since I came back, started making videos, I haven't seen a single negative comment like before on Facebook, man. And then that's when I noticed like the it's a lot different. The crowds on Facebook and the crowd over here on Instagram, the dynamics are a lot different, eh? So it's a lot more old school on Facebook, and then I'll get a lot more. If there's any hate, I feel that's a lot like the older or the ones from Samoa, the freshies, that don't agree with what I'm posting, because like there was one dude who was an older dude, and he was the one that and he commented and he said like, who are you? The Rock's a millionaire and you're just a Makiva fat-nosed prick. And then I was like, hey. And then I went on his page and I saw his photos. Solly, the man had bigger nostrils than me. And then I gave it to him, man. And then I was like, hey, don't you ever call me a fat-nosed prick if you know your whistles are the same or bigger than mine. You're probably my uncle, mate. We got the same nostrils. But yeah, stuff like that, you know, it was like, and then that's why I know, and that's why I sort of enjoy being on Instagram more. I feel that it's more chill and everyone's sort of on the same path, and you know, people are like watching the same things and following the same things on Facebook. It's sort of like a mixed bag, man. You don't know what you're going to get, you know. You could get some laughs and you could get some roasts, you know. So I feel everyone's pretty much on the same page on Instagram, though.
Yeah, no, just before I jumped on, I watched that video of you roasting that guy's nose. I mean, I guess sometimes if you're gonna dish it out, you
Yeah,
gotta.
yeah, that's the thing, man. Like like you can only take so much, man. For me, it was like, man, I'm gonna read all these comments. I'm gonna block all these people. I'll just pick one and I'll give it to him. Sort of like warning shots, you know. If you're gonna come for me, I'm gonna eventually get sick and someone's gonna cop it. Because that was one thing I noticed too. It was like sometimes when they would comment or in my DMs and they would roast me or whatever, I would say to them, hey, if you really want to make something about it, we could really do this on my page if you want to do this. And then they'll block me because they'll know at the end of the day, if I post a picture of them and roast them on my platform, it's gonna hurt them more than it's gonna hurt me, you know. So there should be a lesson to anyone who wants to bad buzz people who make content, you know. It's easy for us to put your face on my wall, and there's another thing too. Like I noticed some of the other boys have got some bad buzzes and some negative feedback lately. I won't say the names, but I seen them post in their stories like sort of like sly indirect digs at these people, but it's not a in your face. But you know, I know what they do. I know these boys. You know, I know what they're doing. You know, so it's like sort of. It's not a direct sort of like dig at them, but mate, you know, if your name's been screenshot and your comments on the story, then you know that's sort of like a warning shot. You know, cut that out, mate. Otherwise, everyone's gonna know you're number one, you know, hater or you know, bad buzz. It's sad that happens, but you know, I think in anywhere in anything in life, you got people who don't agree with what you do. You know,
100%. Did he ever get back to you, or like anyone get back to
and
you?
they blocked me after that.
Yeah, man, I'm a
I tried to go back on his page and I couldn't find his name, so I knew that he blocked.
Yeah. But I did want to talk to you about one aspect of social media. It's something that I really watched it over and over again, and I spoke to you about this before I started this platform. It was the valid video that you had made.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you made it in a comical way, but the message behind it and the ideas behind it rang true to me. Could you expound on that and that experience?
Yeah, so that was when I just first came back as well, and I started making content. And one of the guys I know, he was like, because there's a big culture now in regards to making content and trying to make money out of it, like sponsorships and getting, you know, like service for service, like, you know, you sending me some products for free, I'll promote, you know, stuff like that. But that was never a driving force for me to make content. It was just for me to share like stories and scenarios and to make people laugh. And if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, you know, whatever, whatnot. But when he said that to me, and I sort of like, was like, for me, it was like a sort of like real shallow, like real materialistic to think that I was driven by trying to be famous or, you know, trying to feel a certain way about being on social media. And then that's why I made that video. It's like, for me, I know who I am as a person. Like everyone who knows me personally knows that if my account got shut down, if my Instagram was shut down or my Facebook or whatever, it wouldn't impact me because I've got a beautiful wife, I've got beautiful kids. This is the core of my life. What happens in here, not what happens in internet land. You know what I mean? So that was my message behind it. Really, is that don't feel that you need to be a certain way or feel validated by what you do online, because that's not real life. You know, what real life is the people that are around you and the people that love you. You know, so you know, at the end of the day, it's not what matters. You know. And that was the main message of my of that video, you know.
Yeah, no, I definitely watched it a lot of times. I definitely watched it a lot of times before I started the platform, because I wanted to create this platform from a genuine place in my heart, and that was to promote our people. And before I could get that straight within myself, then I could, really start making moves to build it. And that's something that we struggle with as young people, is validation, seeking for validation through social media, seeking validation from complete strangers, which is a weird concept, but it's real. I always look at the positives and negatives of things, and social
Yeah.
media definitely has its positives. Like
Oh, for sure, for
like
sure, man.
yourself promoting relatable content with our people, and positive content overall, and then other content creators. But then there's always that aspect, like you said, it can consume your life, it can consume your thoughts if you allow it to. And so it's just for people to figure out for themselves, the balance.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I can't be judgmental in that sense, because there was a point where it did consume me. You know what I mean? And there was a point where I let it um, take too much up of my life and my time, and it affected my personal life. But coming from that experience and learning from that, now I know. You got to balance. Life is all about balance. And at the end of the day, you got to do this with everything. And if one thing outweighs the other, then there's going to be some areas where you need to adjust and make right. Like you said, there's pros and cons to everything. And social media, there's people have done very well for themselves, and not necessarily because it's not about money. It's not always about money, financial, but people have. There's so many things out there that social media can impact in a positive way. But like you said, man, there's so much negativity out there too if you let it get to that point. So that's the thing, man. Just balance and not. And so with the people I see a lot of the young cats now. They're doing well for themselves, and our people, our polys, man, they've branched into areas where I didn't think they would. Like business wise and even gaming. A lot of the polys are into the gaming, and some are making money out of it, man. And that's what I mean. For me, it's like, man, because I knew what life was before social media. And now I'm still learning, you know what I mean? But these kids grew up in it, teenagers and that, and they're just killing it in regards to what they can do on social media and technology wise, So, man, hats off to those dudes, man, that are able to go down that road.
Well, yeah, it's awesome to see how people branch out to foreign things for us, because
Yeah, yeah,
we're not
yeah,
familiar with this. But I also take my hat off to the likes of yourself, because you're one of the OGs for content creating in our community, and it's the likes of yourself, and I always look to the likes of yourself, and also like Tofinga and all those people that did you know put out content in that manner, that set the pathway for the upcoming, to see that it's okay, you know it's all right to project yourself in that way. Like you said before, we grow up in this bubble way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, 100%. It's all about being like, then that's another thing too. Like, it might not be accepted in other cultures, but this is who we are. This is what we grew up around. And like, and meanwhile, like we got friends, and I was explaining to one of our friends recently, is that Samoan culture, everyone has that finger in their family. You know what I mean? Whether it's one or it's just part of our culture. It's part of our upbringing. So when people and outside cultures are sort of like, oh, what the heck is that? I'm like, what? I'm like, is that a guy in a dress? I'm like, yeah, that's the finger. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, nah, man, this is how we grew up, man. If you go to the islands, every every family has one in their family, or one or two or whatever. This is how we grew up. This is part of our life. So when you see, and then that's why it's a bit hard for them to see my videos, like cross-dressing and the humor in that, you know what I mean? They sort of assume, what's wrong with you, mate? But mate, I've got to explain to them, this is what we grew up around. This is what we find funny. This is what our culture is about. So it's got nothing to do with sexuality or, you know, being homo or whatever. It's got nothing to do with that. You know, this is just what we do as our people. I mean, like, and that's the thing, like, I think Gofinga was the first one to actually break into the next generation, you know, because growing up, I used to watch people like Bekelo and Sumel at the, you know, those are the OGs, and Siaki, those were the OGs of Samoan comedy, you know, but the kids nowadays, they wouldn't know who those people are, you know, watching Te Wila Festival in the 80s and, you know, in the early 90s, you know, that's where all, when an uncle or auntie came from Samoa and they brought the Te Wila Festival video, then we'd all, you know, all the cousins will sit in the sitting room and just watch it, you know, from start to finish, even though it was like 2 videos, it went for 4 or 5 hours.
5 hours and the Backstreet Boy dancers and
Yeah, hard out. And then like we'd be sitting there like, man, and the moms would be like, oh ma, ayo siva ka meki. Peyo siva America. Like,
it's the we're gonna start practicing the dance.
Yeah. Vai loko ka meki a oko siva ia fai loko meki. Man. Yeah, see, because that was our upbringing, you know, watching all those videos. And then it wasn't until Kofinga, he sort of brought it into the next, you know, the next generation, you know, and then that's where I think, you know, a lot of people, because for me, those are the people that sort of like made me feel comfortable to push content and to, you know, where we're going to dress, you know?
No, definitely. Yeah, there's you know, even in White Sunday practices, if there's not enough girls in your group, someone's got to take the second.
Someone's got to try to squeeze into a moo, mate. It's all like, lava king, all right, ready? King, come. Oh.
That's what it is, man, in our community, man.
Yeah.
Man, so if I was to ask you, what's one thing that, or what are things that make you proud to be a Polynesian? What will those things be?
It'll be man, for me, it's like I feel like just like the warrior spirit, and like just being able to overcome a lot of things, you know. Like I'm sure there's a lot of people out there and minorities and whatnot, but I feel like for such a small nation to be able to put ourselves on, you know, like, you know, we have like Dwayne Johnson, obviously he's half, but, you know, we're proud to say he's a Samoan, you know, and even with our sporting teams and even with, you know, a lot of them are in the NFL and things like that. So I'm really proud to say that I'm Samoan because I know that so in Samoa, I think the population is like only a few 100,000, you know. So but if you think about it, for a few 100,000 in the whole world to be able to impact in all these different areas the way we do, man, that you know, that hits right here for me, you know. So whenever I see something and they say, oh, you know, like Tuote Vangalo, the gridiron dude, or, you know, someone over here or someone over there, man, it just makes you proud to say, man, that's my cousin. Yeah. those ones, you know. But still, at the end of the day, man, that's our people, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's those kind of achievements, man. It's just every time I see something like that, and not only that, man. Like I'm proud to say I'm someone now because when I came back to social media after those 2 years off, it was like, especially Instagram, it was like a whole new. It was just totally different, man. Like when I was on it before, I was probably like me. The only people I knew that was making content on Instagram was me, Momeo Jokes, Den, and the Hollywood boys. And I didn't really, like 2015, back in those, there wasn't really many other. And then when I came back last year, oh man, just to see, and it wasn't just that kind of content, man. It was businesses, it was anything. Samoans were dipping their fingers in everything, man. And, you know, for me, to see how people do that, that's just awesome, man. And like, just to stepping up, because I know growing up Samoan, I felt like if you tried something different, the mentality the old schoolers had was like, oh, fia palangi, you know what I mean? Just because it wasn't within our comfort zone as Samoans, you know. As soon as you try something new, oh, who do you think you are? You think you're palangi? Nah, that's the wrong mentality to have, you know what I mean? So now we're breaking away from that mold. Everyone's just, whatever's on their heart, whatever their passion is, you know, just go out there and chase it, man. And that's what I'm really proud to see, man. So many people just doing what they want to do, you know?
I get something I get a great sense from you that you never you never want to feel comfortable, that you're always striving. And so I watch a lot of Gary Vee. I don't know if you know who Gary Vee is,
Oh, yeah.
but he's heavy on, doesn't matter what age you are,
Yeah.
always there's always opportunity. So for the likes of yourself, like you say that you're getting older, what is your goals and what are your aspirations in
So
life?
I was pretty sad. I just did my PT course, and the week I was supposed to start training at F45 was the same week we went into the first lockdown. So that kind of put a halt on things because me and my wife's game plan was to for me to get my foot in the door F45 wise, and then because we got a sort of a setup here at home, and then get something happening at home, and then she was going to do her course. But you know, as you can see, 2020 has been a bit of a write-off for the whole world, so that's sort of pushed that back. But you know, we'll just wait until the time is right, and then we'll get back on that again. But yeah, for me and my wife, fitness is a big deal for us. So we we want to jump on that. You know, for us, we know now that we're a lot older is that if you follow your passion, it'll take care of itself. You know what I mean? But if your motives are financial or anything else, you know, it's sort of you don't want that to be the driving force of what you want to do. You know, if you love it, then you're going to wake up loving it every day. You know, so and we found that with both of our fitness journeys that's what we love and that's what we enjoy. So we want to make that, you know, our everyday thing. You know, so hopefully.
That's awesome because the more I learn about business and success, which is something that I'm doing in my personal life, it always starts with your mental, and fitness is one big aspect of that is taking care of your mental, as you have to take care of your mind as well, and your body, like all of that incorporated in one to have the body, the engine running smooth. So no, I love what you and your wife are promoting on your pages, and the aspect of motivating people to get out there, and especially our people. We need that a lot, because like you said, diet is something that is the killer for us, eh? So just before we end, what's one thing that you think is a big misunderstanding, or what society misunderstands us about? You've mentioned some things, obviously, like falling into this mold. But what are some things that you feel that society misunderstands about us as Polynesians?
I think a lot, for me growing up here, I think a lot of it is that just the sort of that stereotype that we're just meant to be rugby players or we're just meant to be bouncers at the nightclubs. You know what I mean? That's sort of like, that's the box we're put in here on this side of the world. I don't know about New Zealand because I know New Zealand, we're pretty much established over there. Everyone's doing everything in New Zealand. But over here, what my growing up, is that's pretty much where it starts and ends. If you're a big Polynesian, then that's all you're there to do. You know, if you got three options: either you're a good rugby player, or you're a bouncer, or you're on a forklift. You know, and that's the boxes for us. But like I was saying before, man, like now that I see a lot of polys are coming over here, everyone's branching out and doing their own thing. A lot of the boys are in construction, and doing really well for themselves. And it just it's like what we are talking about with social media, just branching out. Now in today's side, I see the polys are doing well for themselves. So that was the mold for me that they put us in. But I can see that's changing. The tide is changing, especially as time goes on, as polys actually, because there's a lot over here now. I don't know about Sydney. There's quite a lot over there right now for you guys here. Yeah, so that's changing a lot here. So that was the way it was back in the day. It was either you're standing like this at the doors, or you're carving up on the rugby field. But yeah, that was pretty much where it started and ended.
No, yeah, it's something that I constantly seek to push is that, you know, we can't be caged in, and we shouldn't allow society to, you know, help us conform to their mold. That we can like the possibilities for our people are endless, because we all know the talent and potential that we possess. It's just about using that, our, like you always say, is waking up. We need to wake up and realize that those things are available to us if we work towards it and strive for it. But
Sure.
honestly, honestly, like I said, it was an honor to have you on. I'm definitely gonna call my mom and tell her that I was talking to you. Like, "Faye, yo ka lang." No,
No,
yeah, man.
no,
I loved having you on, brother. Thank you so much for jumping on.
it's good, man. It's good to be on. And you know, for me, mental health wise, man, I feel like I'm happy to be on, happy to talk, because there's not many people I can talk to right now at this point in time. You know what I mean? So it's good to share. It's good to, you know, to have this conversation and to learn things, because, you know, at the end of the day, we all learn off each other, man. And man, I'm proud of you too, man, because up until last week, I didn't really know any Samoans that did podcasts other than Te Tuivasa and their Half-Cast podcast, the MMA one. But for you and the other boys, man, that's good. That's another thing, you know. You never hear of that, you know. So, man, hats off for you for well, I'll ask you a question though, eh? How did you come about with your podcast journey? How did that come about?
Oh man, that's a good question. It started with quarantine, just being in quarantine. I had started to watch a lot of podcasts, like a lot of the content, all of the content that I was consuming was podcasts, and Joe Rogan is one that I format this platform off. Is just an interview based, like getting to know people. So he interviews his friends and people that he finds interesting, and so I just wanted to. I was like, man, it'd be cool if, you know, someone was out there just podcasting in our community and getting to know the stories of these people that project themselves on social media, and just, you know, getting people in general to share their stories of what it's like to be a Polynesian. And so, yeah, I was just had that idea, and I'm grateful to my family who's like supported me in getting it started. So, because I'm like yourself, I'm a huge introvert. Like, I isolate myself a lot, and if I'm not with my family, then the chances of me speaking to you is very low, unfortunately. Yeah. So, yeah, that's where it started from.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts as well, but I've never heard of any polys actually stepping out and, you know, taking that step and making their own podcast. So, man, hats off to you also.
Yeah, thank you. So honestly, I'm grateful for your time. I'm really appreciative of your time, and because I know you're a busy man with your family and everything else that you got going on. So, you know, it's a true honor to have you on, Uzo.
Yeah, much appreciated also. Thanks for that, man. Good chit chat.